Hi, this is Majin, and here's my comic reviews for today. As you can see, we have a pretty big stack, but I'll try to go through some of this stuff kind of quickly. Let's start off with Batman Eternal. Now, Batman Eternal actually is doing really well right now. It's in a really exciting, good spot. Snyder's on a definite roll. Hush is totally dismantling Bruce, his company, and tearing down his entire foundation. I like the way also we are starting to see Alfred's daughter a little bit more involved. We get a better idea of her capabilities. We've seen that she's pretty capable behind a monitor. Now we're going to see she's actually good with like action fighting, things like that. She can take care of herself. The art is really good overall. This is really, really good. Unfortunately, Snyder, and I'm not going to say just Snyder himself, but DC completely ruined this entire storyline because we know how it ends. Granted, I guess you can say it's the journey, but it's the payout is the end. Kind of like right now, I can stop reading it and because I know how it's going to go. But for right now, I'm enjoying. All right, Justice League number 36. Overall, Johns did a good job with this one. Also, the art is, I think, really solid. I think the twist of the virus is interesting. You have basically Lex Luthor creating a metahuman virus that's going to dismantle their powers. It mutates, and it's giving normal humans special abilities. It's killing everybody that gets in contact with it. If they're human. Obviously, there's a few people like Wonder Woman, Superman that are okay, and there's a couple other characters that are still fine because they weren't infected by the disease yet or the virus yet. Basically, this issue here is just giving you a quick, this is what's going on, get you to patient zero. Now, part of me is going, well, you know what? I like the concept of a patient zero, but part of that is the journey. They've already got to the end of that journey because they find who patient zero is, and it's going to basically turn out to be a pretty predictable, at least the direction it's going right now. And that part of me is kind of disappointed. Well, part of me is disappointed just because, it's one of those things where I really want to see something unique. And from what I can tell, it's just going back to the usual. But on the other hand, I don't want to see 20 episodes or issues of where is he, where is he, where is he. The Justice League are going to die if this doesn't happen soon. So it's a double-edged sword. I get that. And so far, I'm not really going to complain too much about it. But we'll see how the ending turns out. Well, okay, let's be honest. We know how it's going to turn out. Nobody's dying. Okay. Batman and Robin 36. Basically, this is Batman going into hell. Overall, this is... I enjoy it because we're seeing Batman just on a tear. But on the other hand, what really started to make me lose a little bit of interest is the dog. For me, bringing the dog in there doesn't really make a lot of sense. I understand you want the entire family there. Yes, I'm sure there's going to be a payout when Damian's finally freed and alive and you get to see the dog. There's that touching moment where they connect again. But to me, adding the dog is just like adding the dog to the Saturday morning cartoon that doesn't really belong. It's like how certain cartoons always have to have that add-on character, or even like shows like the Brady Bunch, who had Oliver. And, anytime they add that extra character that doesn't make sense, that's when the series or the show, whatever, just failed. And for me, that's the defining moment for this. To me, the addition of the dog doesn't even make sense. Granted, you can argue it's a big, powerful dog, but this is Apocalypse. Really? A dog is going to survive Apocalypse, but yet Bruce can't. You know what I mean? Like, that's the Justice League mentality in the sense you can't go there because, it's dangerous. So I'm like, please. This dog is not Kryptonian. Alright. Carnage. This is basically the joke that went on, like the comedian that was on stage for 5 minutes too long. The joke's over, and I'm really bored with it already. The only saving grace for this issue is the fact that we get to see Carnage as he's a young kid. He's this really demented kid. And that part I thought was really interesting, and I appreciated that. But when you combine the art, you combine the same old joke type, the same old situations where, Carnage is trying to be a hero but just can't quite figure it out, needs a little help along the way. It's like you can only do that for so long before you're retelling the same, dialogue boxes, word balloons. So for me, I'm out. This is the last of the Carnage books I'm buying. Should have definitely been a one shot. Okay, Magneto, number 12. Okay, if you have not read Axis, this is a great issue because you get to read what happened in Axis all over again. When you combine that with some pretty crappy art compared to what's going on in the main book, I'm bored. I'm not really amused. The fight sequences, while they do add different perspectives as to what's going on, different views, it's just not a great read. The only saving grace for this book is the parts where you have Eric when he was younger and Charles Xavier when he was still walking, and their interaction. You get to see different moments in time, and then there's a moment where there's this image of Charles talking to Eric at the end, and that part was solid. I really enjoyed those parts, and in that sense, the art was just fine. It's perfect for that. But when he started to do the super heroic stuff, and I'm just like, I'm done. I'm done with that. But I'm still really enjoying the series, though, and even though this is a little bit downer for me, I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen ongoing. All right, Amazing Spider-Man number 10. All heck is breaking loose. Basically, they find out that there's two spider armies that are being formed. One is the Chosen One with Peter. The other is the Superior Spider-Man with Otto. And Otto is basically the strike force that goes in, takes care of business. And Peter's just like, well, can we all get along? That kind of nonsense. Overall, I really enjoyed this issue. I think the art is solid. The fighting is great. And this technically would have been my good book of the week. But the problem here is, for me, is there's just a lot of fighting just for fighting. To me, the fight scenes don't seem really well thought out. They're just, here's a bunch of spider people fighting. And if that part was a little bit improved, then definitely I would have put this on a whole different level. You get a little bit more information that Silk is really important, in case nobody's figured that part out yet. But Silk is going to be crucial to this whole storyline. Overall, like I said, I'm really, really enjoying the core title. It's some of these extra storylines that I'm not really liking as much. Okay, Fantastic Four. This is where we get to see Ben Grimm escaping prison illegally and his superhero friends helping him. Now, I think we all realize that, superheroes always have the double standard, and this is just the story to get him out of prison to rejoin the Fantastic Four members. But let's be honest, there should have been consequences for this. And since the book is being canceled, I doubt there's going to be serious consequences. Now, overall, I enjoy it. We get to see that the idea of separating the kids was really a bad idea, because as you can see, S.H.I.E.L.D. has been attacked. We get to see more about who's involved in all of the problems that the Fantastic Four have been having. Part of me is enjoying seeing the Heroes Reborn characters. Another part of me is just going, oh, that's just too extreme for me. I can't handle it. But overall, I think this is what I would consider a nice, solid, entertaining read for me. But I can see where there's going to be people that are going to be put off by it. The other problem I have with it is, for me, when you had the deconstruction of the Fantastic Four, I was really looking forward to seeing the rise again. And it went from we're dismantled, we're crazy, we got issues, to suddenly, hey, life is peachy. All we got to do now is find Reed and life is great again. For me, there wasn't a good transition to go from the bad to the heroic side again. But overall, like I said, I'm really enjoying it. Alright, Guardians of the Galaxy. There's some really good pictures of Venom in here, because he kind of changes his shape and it's not quite human. The art is okay, but I think the problem here is you can tell Bendis must be tired or something, because the story lacks any type of punch to it. Since the Guardians have all been splintered, this is the issue where everybody gets back together again, put everybody on the ship so this way they can go into their next adventure. But when you get to the very end, while Groot does say something different, it really is an expected ending, and for me, it was a little bit of a letdown just because I didn't think that Bendis really put forth a lot of effort into this at all. It was basically, let's just cater to something simple, something that, he thinks that fans are going to appreciate. And yeah, you can always say anytime you throw Venom in there, it's always going to excite the Venom fan base. But that being said, the very ending, I think, could have been handled a little different, a little bit more better. And for that standpoint, I also think maybe it shouldn't have gone to that direction. I would have much rather have seen the next big villain, or maybe even pushing this towards what the Avengers are going through. Okay. Let's do the Avengers next. I'm going to do all three of these books at the same time because they're all linked together. I'll do this one first. This is the Axis tie-in where you have Doctor Doom acting as Captain America and Iron Man trying to form his Super Avengers group. His concept is, you know what? Since I'm now good and I need to do good in the world, I need to stop the Scarlet Witch because she's an out-of-control menace that's going to destroy everything. And so he gets the idea of making this machine to his specifications, and they're going to capture her, throw her in there, siphon off her power, and make the world better. And Val, logically goes, "Hey, isn't that kind of villainy?" But Doc's like, "Oh, young child, oh, you're silly. Form my Avengers, and then we'll go forth and conquer." So Val forms her own Avengers, works with S.H.I.E.L.D., and they're going to take out the Scarlet Witch. Now, part of me is thinking this issue really it's Marvel's attempt at really reinforcing copyright. There's some characters in here that we have not seen in a long time, like Stingray, and there's, what's his name? The fake Captain America's in here. Then you get, we get 3D Man, or U.S. Agent. And then they bring in the Valkyrie just to try to give it some sort of street cred. Like, really? This team is going to take down the Scarlet Witch? Not going to happen. Maybe Val and Doc Doom can do it, but not with this team. So I suspect this has to do with copyright versus anything really artistically. These two issues here, New Avengers number 26 and Avengers number 38, these are actually tied together. What we have here is we learn, in this one, that Bobby Sunspot is basically forming his own Illuminati group. He already has AIM, and basically he stepped out of the Avengers. He's like, this is crazy. Avengers hunting down the Avengers. I want no part of it. So he gets like Cannonball, Smasher, a few other characters along the way. And what he's going to do is he wants to basically, send Thor and Hyperion to the end of the universe to stop whatever's going on, because he learned the Illuminati's doing the same thing. And he also wants to basically stop the Avengers hunting the Illuminati. And I'm just like going, Bobby, what you're doing was great so far, but maybe you should just step out. Now, there is actually a really good moment in here. A couple moments is one, we learn that there's a mole in the Illuminati, which kind of doesn't make sense to what's quite going on, and what we've seen in previous issues. The next thing we see here is Sunspot and company, Black Widow and Spider-Woman, they're in the Savage Land. They're basically plotting out their next move. And Spider-Woman and Black Widow are telling him, hey, this is what we did. And Cannonball and Sunspot are just like, okay. And Smasher, who I have to admit has an amazing costume right there, is like going, dudes, can't you tell that they're lying? And, Bobby's just like, I just don't pay attention to what they're saying. And Cannonball's like, I would really like to give people the benefit of the doubt. But it's really Sunspot's attitude of, I'm not really listening. Because, guys, how often do we really listen to women as they're talking about their day and stuff like that? We all zone this stuff out. So I thought that part was great. Now, this one here basically is what Spider-Woman and Black Widow were doing. And what they did was they went looking for Tony. And this was a situation where Tony apparently had gotten captured. He tried to fight the Cabal on his own, got smashed. And he's now in prison. And if Tony was savable, meaning if he was completely sane and his mind was in the right place, they would have saved him. But Tony's crazy. This is the beginnings of, well, I guess you could almost say the beginnings of the superior Iron Man started earlier than this, but this is really the first time we're seeing that change, besides in his own comic. So it's a little bit out of sequence. Now, the other thing about this is we learned that Thanos has been monitoring the incursions, and he's noticed that something odd has been happening. So we're about to see a change coming up soon. Overall, I'm really happy that Hickman is moving the story forward. I think that this storyline has basically been a start, stop along the way, and I'm glad it's going in a direction other than stalled. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen because, I have a feeling there's going to be a big fight coming up. All right, and finally, we have the big mega event Axis. We'll do Revolutions first. Now, basically we have two stories. One is of Thor and the other one is Nightcrawler and Sabretooth. The Nightcrawler Sabretooth is probably going to go down as one of the very best Nightcrawler fights ever. Nightcrawler is totally taking care of Sabretooth. He's teleporting cars on him. He's teleporting swords into him. He is just seriously taking care of business. And this is like a different side of Nightcrawler, and he's really like vicious. And while it's different than what you would normally expect from this normally peaceful character, it was a fantastic fight. That being said, the Thor story was pretty pathetic, and I just kind of really zoned out and lost a lot of interest. It's basically Thor drinking, he's going around the world, and you're just watching him do whatever he's doing. And the art is okay, but I just didn't... Like, when you compared... This made it worth buying. This made me regret my purchase. And that's a shame. But it is what it is, right? Filler. This here, Axis number 6. This again is the situation where if you're not paying attention to what's going on in the main books, the Superior Iron Man, X-Men, Avengers, things like that, this tells you everything that you need to know on a very high level overview. There is an overlying storyline that's in here that's not in the other books very well, like the Spider-Man part of it, just because everything is just so totally disorganized in terms of the timeline. You have Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse. You have X-Men dealing with the super powerful mutant. You have the Avengers with the Illuminati. Nothing lines up at all with the storyline, which is a shame. So in this case, you almost really need to know what's going on here. Now, overall, I don't think the art is really fantastic in this issue. I mean, normally I do like Dodson, but I just didn't like this one that much at all. Especially compared to some of the earlier art. But it's okay. I mean, personally, what I wish they would do is, I think that the X-Men siding with Apocalypse is a fantastic storyline. I think it deserves its own epic series just from that. That alone just makes me want to read a lot of X-Men if they could have worked that out. But I don't think it's really getting quite the love it needs to get. I mean, it's getting it in some of the issues, like Uncanny Avengers, but something like that should be huge. That should be an Uncanny. It should be an X-Men. It should be New X-Men, Uncanny Avengers. It's that kind of a storyline, and I think part of me is thinking that it's kind of like a wasted opportunity because it's being narrowed down into a very small portion of an overall big story arc. But it is what it is. Like, I don't know why I keep saying it is what it is, but it is. You only do so much in a month, right? But I have to admit, I am really getting tired of these events. This stuff is driving me crazy. Anyways, these are the reviews for this week. I have manga hauls. I got toys and statues that I've just been putting off. I have anime DVDs that I've been sitting on. I've been really bad with some of the extra stuff. But now that it's colder outside, maybe I'll do a little bit more videos. But GTA 5 is out, so I don't know. We'll see. And anyways, if you have any comments or questions, let me know. Like, share. Let me know what you guys like this week. And leave those comments below. Facebook and Crunchyroll anime reviews, and I'll have more stuff later. So until next time.